Okay, good morning or good afternoon, 8th grade. Let's go ahead and jump into lesson 5 today of unit 3. So today we are going to continue reading Summer of the Mariposas. You'll read chapter 20 and you'll find the gist. Then you're going to begin to contrast the depictions of La Llorona and Summer of the Mariposas. Before we do that, let's go ahead and jump into our entrance ticket today. So go ahead and turn to page 116 in your student workbooks. Go ahead and pause this video and begin working on this entrance ticket. All right, guys, if you've not already had time to do so, please go ahead and share out as a class and have some discussion about your entrance ticket this morning. So your entrance ticket today was a small sentence or phrase from the text. It said, "The thin rivulet of a tear fell quietly down her pale cheekbone, disappearing into the darkness." From the context, what do you think rivulet means? And explain your thinking. So you guys your answers probably varied, and that's okay. You should have said something like the word thin precedes the word rivulet, so we can infer that a rivulet is small. The sentence also says that a rivulet of a tear fell. A rivulet must contain water. If it is falling down quietly, it must not be very large or wide. Moreover, the suffix let, L-E-T, on the end means small. And since there is a tear which contains water, riv could refer to a river. What words could you replace it with to have a similar meaning? You might have said something like small river. All right, guys, thank you. And that's great practice for you guys using those context clues. 2 learning targets today. I can demonstrate understanding of the excerpt of chapter 20 of Summer of the Mariposas, and I can compare and contrast depictions of La Llorona in La Llorona by Joe Hayes with those in Summer of the Mariposas. All right, guys, so today you're reading chapter 20. You may do this however your teacher chooses. They do have an audio version, so go ahead and read or listen to chapter 20, and then we'll come back and we'll record the gist. All right, guys, at this time, if you have not already done so, let's go ahead and pause the video and record the gist. 20 words or less. What is this chapter mostly about? Go ahead and do that now. Okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and go over quickly some big things that happened in chapter 20. News reporters begin to show up at the girl's house. Mama calls the FBI to come and help the family deal with this. The girls go to church, and while praying to the Virgin, Odelia discovers beautiful white roses that someone has placed in a vase and brought to the Virgin and can't stop thinking about them. Odelia realizes during a conversation with her mother that the roses she had given to her at the border were actually meant for La Llorona. Odelia takes the roses and leaves her house quickly to deliver them to La Llorona. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and jump into comparing and contrasting depictions of La Llorona. Today, you will need the copy of La Llorona by Joe Hayes. Remember, it is in your student workbook. You'll need your copy of Summer of the Mariposas, and you'll need your compare and contrast La Llorona note catcher, which we worked on last time. It's on page 114 and 115 in your student workbook. Okay. Today, our focus is on contrasting. You're doing the contrast side. You're answering the question, how are the depictions of La Llorona in La Llorona and the depiction in the Summer of the Mariposas different? Go ahead and pause the video here, guys. You can work through this however your teacher sees fit, whether that's with a partner, on your own. Go ahead and pause the video now and work to fill this out. We'll come back together and I'll have you guys whole group share. All right, guys, so now we are going to whole group share. So I'm going to ask that your teacher pause the video and give you guys space to have a discussion about how La Llorona in Joe Hayes's version is different from La Llorona in Summer of the Mariposas. So go ahead and pause the video and do that now. All right, guys, so I hope that we were able to have a really good discussion there. Before we close out this lesson, we are going to do one more thing. We are going to compare and contrast your modernized monster. So what you need is completed narrative from end of Unit 2 assessment. You need your storyboard graphic organizer, and you need your compare and contrast monster note catcher. And this should be in your student workbook on page 118 and 119. You're going to use this note catcher to identify the similarities and differences between the depiction of your monster in Latin American folklore and the modernized depiction in their narrative. So the actual monster from Latin American folklore compared to how you modernize that monster. I'm going to go ahead and sign off here. You guys are going to work to complete this note catcher, which again is on page 118 and 119. When you're finished, I'm going to ask that your teacher have you guys whole group share and share out some of your findings, have some discussion, and I'll see you guys again very soon.